All right, Billy D here with another exciting pre-Cal Jam podcast with the Half Naked Ben Greenfield. Excited to be doing a podcast with you, brother.
Yeah, well, I can explain why I'm half naked because I didn't know we were podcasting. And every morning, I detox by going in my infrared sauna, and then I walk outside through the snow out to my cold pool, and I'm walking through the snow holding my phone. And I get this call on Skype, and it's Billy in his tie and his nice colored shirt. He's like, "We have a podcast," and I'm standing outside, literally half naked in the snow. So I just came into my office. I'm barefoot here, walking on my treadmill.
I love it. I love it, dude.
Air drying myself while I'm chatting to you.
A little bit of Cal Jam is how to look good naked.
Yeah, so I guess this is fitting, except I am wearing pants. Just in case.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to make people ill.
You know, I can create enough trouble in my own profession. You know, sometimes I'm considered the black sheep if we started doing stuff with nakeds, especially in the environment that we're dealing with right now with some of the harassment stuff going around. We don't want to, instigate anything there.
Well, I hear explicit podcasts on iTunes do pretty well anyway, so you never know.
Yeah, they probably do. And before we get any further, let me just give it up for our sponsors over at Vox Life, Jay Dollywall, for stepping up this year and sponsoring Cal Jam, and he's also sponsoring these podcasts. I usually get that out front, but we're into those. So give me a little bit about your background. I really don't know a lot about you. The reason I invited you to Cal Jam because Mercola just insisted that you be there. And Mercola loves you, dude.
Yeah, well, I love Mercola. Mercola and I are having a love affair, apparently.
You better love me too.
Yeah. All right. Nobody tell my wife, Joe Mercola and
okay.
No, anyways, I come from a background of about 2 decades of fitness and nutrition and longevity immersion. In 2008, after running a series of personal training studios and gyms for about 7 years, was nominated as America's top personal trainer. And at that point, I began to do a lot more speaking. And what I do now, like podcasting, authoring, freelancing. I spend my time riding. I raced professionally for Reebok in obstacle course racing. Raced professionally in triathlon before that. And was a bodybuilder before that, which is why I'm very comfortable being tits out on your podcast. And was a tennis player in college. And got my master's degree in biomechanics and exercise physiology. And, I also kind of treat myself as a little bit of a relentless self-experimenter / guinea pig, meaning that...
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah, for example, like Men's Health has me... They have me write series of articles for them. The latest one, they sent me a whole bunch of different hangover pills that they purchased over the counter to lab analyze them, see what's actually in them, and also have me spin a few dials in my head, try them out, and report back on which hangover pills work and which don't. Another one that they did before that. This will come out.
Don't you have to have a hangover to achieve that? Do that test?
Well, I'll send them the receipt for the alcohol, but yes.
Okay.
In moderation.
So you imbibe in alcohol periodically, then?
You know what?
I would be a big drinker.
I drink every day. I can't tell you the last time I was drunk, so this might be a new one for me. And what I mean by that is I have a glass of wine every day for longevity and relaxing at the end of the day. And by doing that consistently throughout the year, I can't tell you the last time I had more than 2 drinks. So, before that, they had me doing an article called New Year, New Dick, where they had me traveling around the country for about 3 months, doing everything a man could to increase his testosterone and his size, shall we say, / sperm count.
What was the name of the article? A new what?
New Year, New Dick.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe we could change your topic to that. That would be probably even more interesting than the how to look good naked.
We would probably bore the female audience, but I'll bet that freaking room would be a sausage fest.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think you would bore the audience.
Yeah, I don't know. So I do a lot of self-experimentation. I live out in the middle of the forest, off grid, up here in Washington State. And
okay, I was wondering where you had snow. You guys got snow up there.
Oh yeah. I'll be strapping on the snowboard tonight and taking my 2 9-year-old boys up to the slopes, do a little night skiing.
Wow. And then what resort do you go to? Crystal there, or where do you go?
We go to this little resort called Mount Spokane, which is basically a bar, an old lodge, and a bunch of lights up in the trees. Nothing too fancy. Not a lot of ski bunnies and full body jumpsuits up there.
Yeah, where the going gets rough, you don't see those people when it gets really, when it's nice and cold, you don't see a lot of the snow bunnies coming out too much. They stay in the lodge.
No, it's like Elmer Fudd hats and pickup trucks.
Do you want to go on that trip with us?
Which trip?
We're doing a helicopter trip up to northern BC. We did it last year. It was amazing.
I'm feeling pretty butthurt right now. I didn't get my invite in the mail.
Well, I'm giving it to you right now. So if you want to go, it's more than there's more than open space there. It's hard to get people to. As soon as they find out how much it costs, that for some reason people don't call me back.
Well, I don't believe in dying with a bunch of money hoarded and having not had any adventures in life. So
I say that all the time to Jane.
Yeah.
I can't take it with me, so what the heck am I? I'm not going to hoard it. So.
Right. You want to strike a balance between between leaving a legacy for your family and also loving life.
Right. Because also when you love life, it makes you a happier person and it makes you nicer to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So the moral of this story is hella ski and you'll be nice to be around.
Yeah. Or go on a boat. Do you surf too?
You know what? I literally just flew back in from Panama yesterday where I was surfing for the week.
Really?
Yeah.
And where were you surfing down
and before that, I hadn't done a lot of surfing. I was out in this place like 6 hours outside of Panama City in the jungle where I actually got a scorpion bite. My knee is about the size of a softball right now. But it was a Cambutal, Cambutal, that kind of region. Yeah. Really good surfing. So, yeah, I had this cool Australian surfer instructor dude, and we went out every day for about 3 hours. And, so I can surf okay.
That's a pretty good workout, too, don't you think?
Yeah, surfing's kind of a combination of like Zen and these guys actually. So they combine yoga and surfing. So the way that you learn to surf, it's very Zen, very slow. They focus a lot on breath work. They actually teach you your first surfing lesson inside of a yoga shala, and so surfing is a little bit of a combination of very, very low intensity cardiovascular work. Sometimes a little bit of cold thermogenesis, right? Because you're shivering. Yeah. It's a little bit chilly. Some mineral treatment from the water, and then the occasional anaerobic bout, right? Like the quick sprint, and then of course the balance component. So yeah, it is pretty good for fitness. I mean, look at a guy like frickin' Laird Hamilton, right? Who I actually just got done teaching a course with in Kauai. The dude does he does sauna, he does ice bath. He does, stand-up paddleboarding, and then the dude works out 2 or 3 hours a day just to support the immense amount of fitness he needs to ride the big waves. So, yeah, right. It's definitely a sport that requires fitness.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of fat surfers, is what I say.
No, what you see, and this is something I'll mention a little bit in my presentation at CalJam about how to look good naked and live a long time. You see this concept of cold being something that actually converts white adipose tissue into brown adipose tissue. So if you go to San Francisco, for example, and you look at all these polar bear club guys who surf in the bay, or not surf, they swim in the bay. You go down there on a Sunday morning down by Fort Mason in San Francisco, you'll see all these people weaving back and forth in the water. They come up out of the water, and these aren't lean, ripped people, but they have this layer of brown fat that actually conveys a lot of cardiovascular benefits, a lot of anti-inflammatory benefits. It burns calories to generate heat. And so, yeah, it's this idea that, the same as with surfers. Sometimes, even if someone doesn't look lean, if they spend a lot of time in cold water, the type of fat that they do have, this brown fat, is actually a lot different than some of the visceral and organ-based fat that tends to build up when it's merely, white adipose tissue.
Right. From more sedentary lifestyle and horrific carb-induced diets, high-carb diet.
Yeah, and the other thing, related to this, is you can convert white adipose tissue into metabolically active brown adipose tissue. You can convert fat cells into a variety of cells, contrary to the popular belief that fat cells always stick around and they never die. But the only way you can do that, and Dr. Kate Shanahan has a great book called Deep Nutrition where she talks about this. The only way that you can convert or kill fat cells or convert them into, say, brown fat cells is in the absence of inflammation. And so if you have inflammation from, let's say, copious amounts of canola oil from the Whole Food salad bar, or spending all day long next to your Wi-Fi router, or
why would I do it?
Or maybe even consuming foods that could be healthy for you, but that you in particular have some kind of an antibody response to, which happens to a lot of people with potatoes, tomatoes, dairy, a lot of these things that are purportedly healthy. You actually inhibit your ability to be able to convert fat cells into other tissue. So yeah, it's a definite consideration when it comes to
go back to
loss.
The Wi-Fi router, though. I want to know a little bit more about the Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Dr. Mercola. He's really the expert on this stuff in our circles. But, it's this idea that it can affect the calcium channels in your cells and specifically limit their ability to function properly. So you see a reduction of ATP availability to a cell, a reduction in cellular metabolism, and also an inflammatory effect. And a lot of people, laugh at this, even though there's a host of European research, and there's also a host of anecdotal research, like the plants in the classroom that they set next to the Wi-Fi router, and the plants that they set far away from it, and the distinct difference in the growth of both of those plants in terms of the Wi-Fi router plant being kind of dead and shriveled up. It's one of those things where I don't just consider excess exercise or canola oil or pollution being responsible for inflammation. I also look at some of these invisible variables, right? Like, what kind of water are you drinking? Your air, your light, your electricity, a lot of these other components of inflammation. So yeah. Are you stripping, Billy? I noticed you just removed your tie.
Since you figured, but I have my tape on though.
Okay. Well,
I strip at CalJam. I don't know.
Good look for you. I did not know you stripped at CalJam. All right, I don't feel so bad now. I don't feel so bad now.
Don't feel bad. My audience can handle it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the deal with the Wi-Fi.
I just did a Richard Simmons video too here at the office. So
amazing.
I showed my it was good. So
yeah, you have a real kind of Richard Simmons hairdo. There we go. Yeah, and you're rocking is that like rainbow rock tape, rainbow kinesio tape?
Yeah, right. It is.
Sun's out, guns out. Billy DeMoss and I flexing on the podcast. There we go. This is definitely going to drop the iTunes ranking. Yeah, we just lost all of our viewers.
Well, I said this. I'm going to strip at CalJam until I don't look good. So hopefully that will never happen. So it gives me more motivation to stay in shape.
Yes, we call it extrinsic motivation.
You know
I just recently played my first open mic night based on that same concept. I used stick.com to commit $1,000 to a charity. I won't mention it, but I absolutely hate this charity. And if I didn't play an open mic night by my birthday, I would have automatically the money in escrow go to that charity that I hate. And so it's great to have extrinsic motivation like that. Similarly to I'm gonna strip until I don't look good.
You don't want to mention the charity that you hate?
Alrighty, I will do it since you're a controversial guy.
Just say
it's basically it's a charity.
It doesn't have anything to do with pink, does it?
No. So
what
here's the deal, dude. I am at the risk of polarizing myself. I am a pro-lifer, meaning that when I was growing up, my family we've adopted a little girl that was gonna be aborted, and I'm just a fan of babies and believe that they're alive when they're in mama's womb. And so it was basically like kind of like a charity that assists women with having abortions, which I wasn't a big fan of. So yeah. So there you go.
That's even worse than running for the cure people.
Yeah.
Because we know I'm getting cold.
Yeah, well, that was fun. We went from stripping to abortions in about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
way to go.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Do you want to talk about cannabis right now? Because I was on Del Bigtree, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on a show yesterday. He had me on. We discussed cannabis yesterday.
Yeah, cannabis is interesting. I actually just made edibles before I went over to Kauai. I have a magical butter machine, and I take coconut oil and ghee. I decarboxylate a little bit of like a really good local organic weed, and then I add kava, kratom, reishi, curcumin, black pepper, stevia, and sea salt. And I make these little cakes. I call them sleep cakes. And you eat one of these about an hour before you go to bed, and you have these deep, lucid dreams, and you're just kind of like dead.
And how lucid are those dreams?
They're pretty intense, but it's good sleep. I track my sleep cycles with this ring. Deep sleep, light sleep, and it's really well balanced from this. Versus like popping a Benadryl or whatever. But yeah, as far as cannabis goes, huge fan. My interest in it began with just the anti-inflammatory potential of CBD. And my company for a while produced a CBD blended with curcumin and lemon balm and magnesium and a lot of relaxing compounds. And probably one of my favorite ways to use cannabis now, and this was taught to me by Paul Chek, a really great guy in the fitness space, is I'll use a vaporizer. Oh, I know him. Yeah, I'll use a vaporizer. Volcano works well, or the Buddha is the one that I have, and blend cannabis with a little bit of organic tobacco, so you get just a little bit of a pick-me-up from the nicotine, and then you add any essential oil of your choice on top. Frankincense and myrrh, which are mildly psychedelic. Those work pretty well. Lavender for relaxation, cinnamon or peppermint for a pick-me-up. You can add a little bit of tea to it, like a green tea, or at night, like a chamomile tea, and you actually vape tobacco, cannabis, tea, and essential oils. And it's kind of like, making them new recipes. It's actually kind of an interesting way to enjoy some of those plant medicines. Huh? Yeah, it is. It's fun to kind of mix and match.
So what's your favorite local blend there? I mean, do you have they've got really interesting names. You look at like the wine. I mean, to me, it's no different than wine.
Yeah.
Except I think cannabis is way more innocuous. It's way more harmless than alcohol. I don't know what you think.
Like a good organic Blue Dream. It's one of my favorites. It gives me a little bit of a creativity.
That's a high THC blend.
Yeah, it is, which is also why I like it.
I'm more a cannatonic kind of guy, or AC/DC, Charlotte's Web. I like the more kind of CBD the higher CBD strains as well.
Well, perhaps I will bring you something from Washington State.
I would.
And I'm just going to assume TSA does not watch your podcast by saying that.
No, plus, you know what? I personally don't think TSA cares.
They really do. It's kind of funny. All right, so I might as well say this as I'm on a podcast, and I have already done enough damage to myself. I was traveling back from Panama City. One of the things I like to do when I'm in really intense nature.
Yeah, you're not going to travel over. I wouldn't travel like internationally.
Okay, so. When I hike, when I hunt, I kind of like to enhance my sensory perception, and sometimes psilocybin is good for that. Microdosing with psilocybin or shrooms, and I was doing that while surfing in Panama. So I basically had like a bag of shroomies coming back, and I got pulled aside by customs and strip search. And,
I don't know about that.
And they hold up they hold up the bag, and they said, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, those are my sleeping aids. I have a difficult time sleeping when I travel." And they said, the guy that held up, he's like, "Oh yeah, me too. I just, I haven't figured that out yet." And then he puts the shrooms back into the bag and continues to go through my stuff and sends me on my way. But that made me think twice about ever taking shrooms internationally again, because it could have been a bad scenario.
Yeah, and here's the deal: you might want to take them there, but I wouldn't bring them back.
Yeah, word. Exactly.
Yeah. Because you can always get it.
Yeah, exactly. So folks have now learned anything that they would ever need to have me arrested.
Or they also how to navigate the TSA. You can take things places, but I wouldn't bring it back.
Right.
Because I always look at that. If I get busted going somewhere, well, I don't know. I don't want to go over my philosophy. I don't want to self-incriminate myself.
Well, the problem is there's someone named Benjamin Greenfield on the watch list. So every time I come back from any international venture, I tend to get pulled into customs, and sometimes they actually do that. They just do a full-on search. So, so I know what's coming.
Hey, I've been there, done that. Yeah. I got the full body search in Dubai once, and they thought I was smuggling hashish and cocaine and heroin into, but it wasn't.
Which I know you do.
I had the full goatee, and I had an orange hat. And I think what set it off is I had a Born in the USA T-shirt on, which wasn't a good idea.
Right. So you did not actually have a condom. You didn't have a condom full of hashish up your butt in Dubai.
No, I didn't have that.
All right.
I don't need it that bad. I mean, it's not like I need to travel with it.
Yeah, you're such a slacker.
Yeah, I'm a slacker.
Yeah, man. But Cal Jam should be good. You were
there last year, right?
I was there. I was there last year. My friends Dan Pompa and Warren Phillips kind of introduced me to Cal Jam, and I came down and checked it out. It's a great event. And this year, like you and I talked about, I really want to spill the beans on decoding, not just like fat loss and aesthetics and looking good naked, but the bigger part of that equation, which is how to achieve that kind of look and how to achieve health, and still live a long time, right? And so I'll go into everything from culinary tactics to spices and herbs to supplements to biohacks to fitness techniques. You can kind of weave throughout your day to enhance and turn your body into basically like a fat burning machine, enhance your ability to be able to maintain and build muscle, and then also at the same time decrease the rate at which your telomeres shorten, meaning enhancing your longevity. So we'll talk about everything from timing of carbohydrate intake to when to go low rep, high weight, low weight, high rep. Which kind of spices and herbs to have around, different kind of teas and smoothies you can make. And I'll, I know it's not a long presentation, but I guarantee I'll kind of feed people through the fire hose with some good stuff during the time.
That's the way to do it. It keeps it interesting. Are you going to talk about your cannabis recipes or any of your psilocybin recipes at all?
You know what? I probably could. I'm not sure I have those woven in right now. But it's something we could do, or we could do like a breakout session on microdosing and psychedelics for healthy chiros. There
we go.
Yeah.
I don't know when we're going to do that. We already have the agenda's pretty well set right now.
Well, perhaps we could do an immersive, self-experiential type of, such a thing at the after party.
The after party.
Exactly. That way we don't just need to talk about it. We can also do it.
There you go. All right, brother. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to do this podcast with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting naked with me and inviting me heli skiing and setting me up to be arrested by the feds.
Huh?
I said I appreciate you setting me up to be arrested by the feds as well.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
If you need any bail money, just let me know.
I'll do that.
I'll make sure I get a hold of Dan Papa. He can send over some cash for you.
Perfect. That's what he loves to do. Awesome, dude. Well, I'm looking forward to Cal Jam, and to everybody watching, see you there.
This is the greatest chiropractic event on the planet.
First impressions are everything, and when you walk in, you see the crowd, you see the stage set up, you hear the band.
The camaraderie was incredible, impressive, and I really felt like I was connected with my community.
Incredible. I've been to 9 out of 10 Cal Jams. The energy was through the roof, the most electric Cal Jam I've ever been to.